Welcome everybody to Geeky Geezers. How are you all doing tonight? This is am I correct? This is the first time that we're doing Geeky Geezers on EVMux.
Yes. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. That's my line.
It's a little clunky, but I had to do that in order to make sure that we were all. We'll get this figured out going forward. In fact, you know what? Now that you say that, let's switch it around. There you go. Better. Okay.
Here we
take
are.
It away.
Welcome everyone to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, Pacelli. Underneath us is special guest, deleted scenes.
Not underneath us. That sounds bad.
Just below us. I don't know. Just in the room with us. Deleted scenes. Welcome.
In the room. Yes.
Okay, he is here for the annual Oscar talk.
He is beneath us, is what you're saying.
I didn't say that.
You see, I volunteer to come on, and this is how I get treated.
I'm defending you here.
Yes, here we are. Welcome everyone to the Geeky Geezers. Anyway, got some exciting stuff to talk about tonight, but I have to actually talk to who's in the chat.
At least say hi to everybody. Yeah.
I'm not used to this, man.
I know, right?
Take me out of my comfort zone. It's like this. Okay, Big Al presents.
I said there would be a learning curve, right?
Have a great stream, my friends. Have a wonderful week ahead. Okay. Connie Cleary, welcome. Always good to see you. Curtis Selby, held to the Geeky Geezers. I can actually show this, can't I?
I just unfortunately knocked it down because I was trying to help. Okay.
Look at that, and it pushes us up. So Curtis Selby's in the house. Welcome. Deleted Scenes, welcome. Geek Flag with Nate Knows, welcome. We got a unscripted raid. All right.
Right on.
Kronos.
So that's a great question. What is an aged boomer? An aged boomer is technically the generation before us, right? They're people that were born up to like 1960 something or whatever.
An aged boomer is someone who thinks Quake is a good game.
Okay, that's your definition of it.
Where that came from, man. It came from the meme of the 30-year-old boomer. And it's when you get to a certain age and then you start being called a boomer like with everybody else because you're out of touch.
Boomer, yeah, exactly.
That kind
this
of,
means an old
even
man,
though you're not a boomer.
Let's face it, we are.
And then I think the Wojaks was a guy on a lawnmower. I don't know.
Yeah. Technically, we are all Gen X here, but
Gen X.
We're saying boomer because old,
Maybe that could be Friday's stream. Let's talk about what it is to be Gen X, huh?
We could, yeah.
I'm trying to come up with an idea for Friday's stream.
There you go.
It means flannel, right?
I used to wear flannel in high school, yeah, a lot.
All right, so here we go. That might be a thing. We'll talk about Gen X to people who don't know what Gen X is. That's an idea. We'll talk about it more after the stream. But let's see here, though. Kronos, hey, Curtis. Welcome, Deleted Scenes. Geek Flag, blah, blah, blah. Jesse Guajardo. I hope I pronounced your last name right. I do try. Hey, I got to show this too. See, I'm all discombobulated because of this. Horizon Talker, welcome. Always good to see you.
I like the way that this platform brings the names up too. It's kind of dynamic. I kind of like it.
I like it simple. It does that with the slideshow that we're going to try. It's all dynamic. It's all fancy. Yeah. It's not basic. Space Fraggle, welcome. Topia, welcome. Zootopia's good people. All right. And I'm trying to think. Where are we now? Joshua V.
I'm sorry I'm not making it to the Never Ending Story live stream yesterday. I was busy. No, totally understand. When you got something to do, you gotta do it.
We got some
Ruby Hoove again with another channel membership. Thank you so much, Ruby Hoove. That went to Deej Odyssey. Congratulations on the gifted membership. Welcome to the Martini.
Rabbit in the field, Deej Odyssey.
Yep.
Yes. You know what? I got to hook the mouse up for this stream. I'm getting fancy now. Now I can just look at that. Now I can just use the wheel. Isn't that great? All right. Matanui, welcome. Did I already say that? But
And
welcome.
Troy made it weird. Yes, I did. I'm giving
Netter of
stuff
Netter's
to the old
Network, always
boomer.
welcome here.
Absolutely.
Get a hi, sweetie. Thank you. And let's see here, though. Jonathan Conroy, welcome. Leia Plus Size, good evening. Y'all, welcome, Leia Plus Size.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right. Well, here we are. And that's where we'll be.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay. So now
So what are we talking about tonight?
Yeah,
it was
now
a
time
great
for the
show,
super
guys.
slideshow. How do I get... Okay, there we go. Now you
Well,
got to put the super slideshow on.
I'll try. Let me see what I can do.
Please.
Wait, but I gotta bring
deleted scenes into
in.
this.
Okay, it's the deleted scene show. That's the way it looks now to me.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well,
I'm learning.
welcome to my show. I'm
exactly.
the new host of Geeky Geezers. And
there we go.
Deleted scenes he's no stranger to doing news, pop culture news shows. He used to run one years back, as I recall. And you still talk about events. But let's go to the first story of the night. What do we like to talk about? We like to talk about
the good old days. Tell me about the good old days.
We did this before, but we're doing it again. Pee-wee Herman.
Mm-hmm.
You a fan of Pee-wee Herman deleted?
Up to a point, yes.
Up to a point. Okay, well, yeah. I picked him because we have some related Pee-wee Herman news later tonight. So I figured, I don't know if we ever talked about him for good old days. I want to say we did, but maybe we just talked about Paul Rubens passing. That might have been what we talked about.
Yeah, we certainly talked about him and his career kind of in general because we did an In Remembrance when he passed very recently.
Yep.
Kind of tragic. He was... Look, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about him. He was good people.
Yeah. So I, of course, remembered first seeing him in Pee-wee Herman's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
You remember this movie? I think you did it on a rewatch a couple of years ago, right?
I actually don't remember. I may have done, yeah.
Remember, he had the fancy house with all the idea behind Pee-wee Herman's Big Adventure is that when you're a kid, this is who you want to be when you're an adult. You want to have the really cool house with all the toys and the the weird gadgets.
Many of us basically have, right?
Yes. There's a scene from the movie of him eating Mr. T cereal. Did you ever try
Mr. T cereal?
It was good cereal. It's one of those sweet corn cereals, right?
Yes.
I enjoyed it a lot. This was, I think, was this one of the earliest, or maybe the directorial debut for Tim Burton? I believe, right? If memory serves.
If it wasn't a Tim Burton, I'd be surprised because it really felt like a Tim Burton film. So
the plot line of this movie is someone steals his bike that everyone in the neighborhood wants, including this spoiled rich kid in town who wants his bike because it's a fancy bike. And he's like, no, it's my bike. It's sort of like John Wick, but with a bike instead of a dog, right?
Actually, I thought of it more as a farcical, childlike version of Corvette Summer.
Okay. And if we scroll again, hold on, we have Large Marge sent you, huh?
Oh, gosh, I love that scene.
It freaked me out. That's like an urban legend. And it's like Large Marge picks him up and drops him off and tell them Large Marge sent you. And then she turns into that. And he goes into the diner. And they said, she's been dead 10 years. You know, it's or something along those lines. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. I don't know. But moving on to, remember Back to the Beach?
I do. Was he in it?
Yes, the Frankie Avalon Annette Funicello reunion movie in the 80s, which was hilarious because it's almost like if those characters still exist in the 80s, they keep making their son eat peanut butter for lunch every day, and he's like, I hate peanut butter because
oh, that's right. I'd actually forgotten that. Right.
But he does Surfing Bird.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
He does that whole song in this movie. It's a full-on production. He just shows up and he's a Surfing Bird. Boomer, take the wheel.
Yeah,
I'm trying,
exactly.
man. This is these weird. I wanted to get this without transitions. You think these transitions are cool, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Big Top Pee-wee. Didn't care for it. Did you see it?
Honestly, I did, but I honestly don't remember much about it. So I'm guessing it wasn't that good.
It wasn't Pee-wee Herman's Big Adventure. That's not what this was. I guess it's him joining a circus. There's a circus involved. I know he talks about he's a big fan of the scientist George Washington Carver, who found all these uses for the peanut. Remember that?
Right.
So he was also like a scientist. And yeah, it's just it has apparently it has Chris Christopherson in it, so maybe I need to give it another look.
Yeah, maybe.
But and I remember his love interest, or maybe there's more than one. What's going on here? I don't know. But anyway, it was all right.
Yeah, he's doing
Family
well for
film.
himself. Sure,
Okay.
sure.
But let's move on to the big one, which was Pee-wee's Playhouse. Now, come on, did everybody in the chat watch this show?
I gotta be honest, I didn't watch it avidly. I was aware of it.
You're aware of it.
My brother watched it. I was like, okay, this is a goofy kids show, so I didn't pay much
I
attention.
was the right age for this show. I think I was just young enough that I could appreciate this show. I used to watch it. He used to say, "What's the secret word?" And then everyone would scream if he says it. And you would. The idea was you at home would scream. This was like the modern Howdy Doody type of show. You know, it was one of these. He would come on each week.
I kind of see that. Sure.
You'd have different guests.
As an adult, though, the only thing that I could, say about this is, well, we got Lawrence Fishburne out of this.
Yeah, I will show that in a minute. Actually, Lawrence Fishburne also shows up in Death Wish 2. I'm sorry, Deleted. Did you want to say something?
Oh, no. I was just merely reiterating that, yes, Lawrence Fishburne in the show. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm going to show a picture of him in a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to show a picture of him in a minute. That's the princess lady that would show up on the show. Hold on. And that's a talking globe, I believe, because everything talked. And there's a cow in the background. Right. That's Cowboy Curtis. Lawrence Fishburne is Cowboy Curtis. Look at that, huh?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just saying, it was a show. It was, and you'd have like these little animated sequences in it too, like the penny shorts where she had two eyes that were made out of pennies. That was a thing. And does no one remember Pee-wee's Playhouse? I think this probably holds up better than most people give it credit for.
I'm sure it probably does. I'll bet it's even available on physical media now.
I wonder if it's available on 4K, but I don't know. But here we go. And then, of course, he was extremely popular. We had the doll. You must have had the doll.
No.
Am I hearing crickets?
Yeah, no.
Deleted? Did you have the Pee-wee Herman doll with the pull string?
I did not.
Well, that's just great. These were hard to find. These were a bestseller. You would pull the string and he'd do different sayings from the show. Is no one but me nostalgic for Pee-wee Herman tonight? What's going on here?
I love Pee-wee Herman.
Please.
I just
you're real showing it.
Show.
You didn't watch. What did you watch? What did you like best of Pee-wee Herman? Did he have a stand-up routine that Paul Reubens did as Pee-wee? That was pretty cool. That you knew of.
Not that I remember. I did like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That was kind of my favorite. And like I said, I really saw that as being, a farcical version of Corvette Summer. He was also, well, Paul Reubens did more than Pee-wee Herman too. I mean, he was
in the Blues Brothers.
Yes, he was. He was the waiter in the Blues Brothers.
He was Oswald Cobblepot's dad in Batman Returns.
That's absolutely right. He was one of those. If he had never done Pee-wee Herman, he would still be remembered as one of those really great, kind of standout character actors, right? Like you said, Cobblepot and the waiter in Blues Brothers, and I'm sure he was in some other things. I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head, but but he did go beyond being just a character actor, and he created a character of his own.
Okay, yeah. Space Fraggle. Well, we'll see you next week then.
Yeah. Take care.
Elvira and Pee-wee used to date in the 80s. Oh, that's interesting.
That is true. In fact, my understanding was that, and now I don't remember which one it was, if she was trying to get Paul Rubens into her Elvira movie, or if he was trying to get her into his movie, and the other was just not available for whatever reason. They just couldn't make it work. So he was also in Matilda as the FBI agent. Okay. Yeah.
And he watched him in Pee-wee in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. He was the vampire in that, Paul Rubens.
That's right. He was the one with the great death scene. That's one of the things that I loved about the Swanson Buffy that didn't carry over into the TV series. The idea that when you staked a vampire, you still had the body there, just like in the old movies, So he's there with the stake, and he's and then he's actually an after credit, extra.
He's still dying.
Where he's still dying, and it's just absolutely brilliant. They did away with the ability to have that in the series by having her dust him every time she'd stake him. So,
yeah, that Donald Sutherland did it in the movie, right?
Yes, exactly. The other thing about Pee-wee's Playhouse, this idea of everything being anthropomorphic and whatnot, certainly leads one as an audience to believe that this was either he existed in some sort of fantasy realm, or this was his fantasy inside his head, which probably is more likely the case. Real quick, I want to say hi to I see the Clue Studio is here. Salute, my friend. Always good to see you. Hey, you love Pee-wee. Good. Yeah. And Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank. Welcome.
Okay. Those flowers would sing, by the way.
Oh, of course they could. I mean, you could look and you could tell. Yeah. You could even see the little mouth opening. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, anyway, so that was Pee-wee Herman. Stephen, as our guest, do you have anything left to say about Pee-wee Herman?
Yeah, I was more of a fan of what he did outside of Pee-wee, like Buffy and some of the other film appearances that he made. I was really more familiar with him through those. Not that I have anything against Pee-wee. It's just it didn't catch me at the right time.
Well, I recommend everybody check out Back to the Beach and check out that musical number from Back to the Beach, the surfing bird. He does a great surfing bird. Okay.
Bird is the word.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, except he does it in the Pee-wee voice, so it's really bizarre.
Right.
All right, and welcome everybody to tonight's Geeky Geezers, where now we talk about the news of the week. He was good.
So something happened this week that's worth talking about?
Well, we're going to start talking about the Oscars.
Is that the same as the Academy Awards?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Okay. Our first story tonight, if you want to post the link in the chat, can I show the link? And it's underneath instead of in front of. That's interesting. Over our guest, though, but we'll have to deal for the time being. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has sent a letter to its full membership about its upcoming Oscar ceremony March 2nd and how it will honor Los Angeles amid its wildfire crisis. We will honor the city of dreams, showcasing its beauty and resilience, as well as its role as a beacon for filmmakers and creative visionaries for over a century, Academy CEO Bill Kramer and President Janet Yang said in a letter. We will reflect on the recent events while highlighting the strength, creativity, and optimism that defines Los Angeles and our industry. Additionally, the Academy has announced that the ceremony will move away from live performances of Oscar-nominated songs and will instead focus on the songwriters.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
I I don't see where that's...
Wasn't that one? That was the big highlights for people seeing the live songs. Why are they getting rid of that? Previously, each of the nominated songs were performed on stage during the telecast, while the songwriters were acknowledged. The focus has been more on the performers, who oftentimes were not the credited songwriters, even though the songwriters are the ones listed as the nominees in the Best Original Song category. This year will be this year the Best Original Song presentation will move away from live performances and will focus on the songwriters whose letter we will celebrate their artistry through personal reflections from the teams who bring these songs to life. All of this and more will uncover the stories and inspiration behind this year's nominees. That sounds fun. Anyway, I remember the one year
like
when
give the artists an opportunity to grandstand. That's what it sounds like to me.
I remember there was one year where they were doing like a Best of Academy Award winner song, like song winners, and Isaac Hayes was on stage, and there was smoke, and then Isaac Hayes disappeared, and people didn't know what happened to him. They think he got stuck in some contraption on stage because he was doing doing Shaft. You know?
Gotcha.
But the letters sent ahead of Thursday's Oscar nominations announced to see the full list of nominees also promised powerful musical moments that connect film's rich history to its bold and inspiring future. Additionally, the Academy stated that's February 5th moments where individual film artists recognized nominees will return. And you can read below for the full letter. I'm not reading that. Okay. Any thoughts?
Actually, let's bring up what Nate said. He pretty much summed up exactly what I was thinking. He says the Academy of Arts and Science is a joke, and I could not agree more.
That's a little harsh. What does our guest think?
Well, the thing is this. People want to hear the songs.
Yeah, they do.
They're not necessarily...
Tune in,
yeah, they're not necessarily there to hear the story behind the songs. You know, they want to hear the music that they came to hear. Now, and we'll be getting to this a little later on, the best song category this year is not exactly the best. So
well, maybe that's why.
It might be a blessing in disguise.
Let's not play the song. Let's talk about the songs or something.
If it's not the best, why is it nominated?
Yeah, precisely.
Because you know, this is not about what's best. This is about what's political.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, anyway, did someone get hit on the head? Perhaps. Let's move on to our next story, which is, of course, the meat of this presentation. Oh wait, I gotta actually scroll over to it because I can't just hit the arrow key. All right, move slowly. There we go. Oscars full list of nominees. Yay!
Oh joy!
We're gonna go through these.
Yes, we
We're here
are.
for the next 3 hours. Okay. Amelia Perez leads the 2025 Oscar nominations, which were revealed Thursday morning. The film scored 13 nominations, setting a record for a non-English language film. That surpasses the previous record holders, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Roma, which each earned 10. Well, that must mean it's a better movie then. Following Amelia Perez were The Brutalist and Wicked, which tied with 10 noms apiece. A Complete Unknown and Conclave followed with 8 nominations each. All 5 of those films will compete for Best Picture with Anora, Dune Part 2, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, and The Substance. The Substance got nominated for Best Picture. That's interesting. Corolla Fargett, who directed the latter film, was the only female to be nominated in the Best Directing category, and also scoring a writing nom, while star Demi Moore landed the first Oscar nom of her career, as did Isabella Rossellini for Conclave. Carla Sofia Gascon, the Spanish-born star of Amelia Perez, was nominated for Best Actress, making her the first openly transgender performer to be so honored. Jacques Adiad picked up 2 noms for the film for Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay, while Zoe Saldana landed a supporting acting nom for her performance. Wicked's noms include acting noms for Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, while The Brutalist landed mentions for director Brody Corbett, who also shares a writing nomination with Mona Fastfold, and for stars Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, and Guy Pearce. John M. Chu, however, was shut out of the directing category. Elsewhere, I'm Still Here star Fernanda Torres repeated her mother Fernanda Montenegro's historical achievement from 1999 for Central Station, becoming only the second Brazilian to be nominated in the Best Actress category. Other acting nominees include Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice.
Yep.
Timothy Chalamet and Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. Rafe Fiennes and for Conclave, and Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, among others. Strong will compete in the same category as his former Successions co-star Kieran Culkin, nominated for A Real Pain. Chalamet, meanwhile, follows James Dean as the youngest two-time Best Actor nominee, while Domingo is the first back-to-black Black Best Actor nominee since Denzel Washington. And you can see the full list below. Rachel Sina and Bowen Yang announced this year's nominees live at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time from the Film Academy Samuel Golden Theater. What does that mean, Eastern Standard Time? Is that like 1:30 in the morning?
I don't know. Eastern is your time, isn't it?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, maybe it was like later. Okay, maybe it was more. Maybe it was later in the day. Never mind. What do I know? The Saturday Night Actress and Wicked Actor share the nominations for the 2020 Oscars across 23 categories, including Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Supporting Actress, Adapted, Original Screenplay, Documentary, Animated Feature, Original Score. Okay, so let's see if I can scroll through some of these. Actor Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet. I saw A Complete Unknown. Have you seen A Complete Unknown, Stephen?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm hoping to maybe do that this week.
Okay.
I'm hearing a lot of good things. I know some people who have seen it who say it's their number one movie for the year.
Okay.
I think it could do well. It would be the safe choice.
Gotcha.
It's a crowd pleaser. It's non-political, but anyway, yeah, we'll go on. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious who was nominated for animated feature. We have Flo, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail.
Yep.
I'm curious about that one. Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. I've heard great things about The Wild Robot. I haven't seen it though. But cinematography, Dune Part 2. You've seen Dune Part 2, right,
I
Troy?
have.
And Troy
I
has
have not yet. No,
You've not seen Dune Part 2 yet.
I did not get out to the theaters
It's on
when
DVD.
it was. Yeah, I know, and I absolutely have to get it because completist. I've already got the
subscribe
first.
To HBO to Max if you would rather just stream it.
Yeah, no, that won't be happening.
All right, cinematography, costume design, Nosferatu, Wicked, Gladiator 2, Conclave. Why is Gladiator 2 getting all these awards? It wasn't nominated for Best Picture, was it?
No. And from what I heard, the movie sucked.
All right, so were you what any thoughts on this? Are we excited? I know Stephen here is even a bigger movie buff than I was. I used to follow this stuff when I was younger, though. I used to get into the Academy Awards. Back then it was just 5 nominations before they opened it up to 9, which Bret Easton Ellis blamed on the fact they didn't nominate The Dark Knight for Best Picture the year it came out. And it said it embarrassed them, and they said, well, we'll just throw in more nominations.
Personally, what I'd like to know is how many films were not nominated because they didn't qualify.
Well, there's that. And I do wonder if this movie that has a high number of nominations this year could be there because it's maybe, I don't want to say checking the right boxes, but
no, I would say that's absolutely accurate.
Has anyone...
And we've seen this in the business world as well as the entertainment world, and this is why it's dying, is because this concept of DEI, of saying, look at our virtue. We hired all of these otherwise underrepresented people, so we're do-gooders, and I'd say the vast majority of Americans go, no. All you're doing is being bigots, so
they're going to give it to Emilia Perez, I bet. But we don't know that. We don't know that. It could go to The Substance. What do you think? Does The Substance stand a chance? Deleted scenes.
I don't think The Substance will win. It's for two reasons. One, I think it hits a little too close to home.
So it's kind of a
For
Hollywood
certain
basher,
people.
entertainment industry
It's
basher. Yes.
yeah, and it's also looked at as a horror movie,
Right.
and because it has body horror elements to it, and horror doesn't do very well at
No.
the Oscars.
Last
It
horror
usually,
movie.
you know, um,
Yeah.
case in point, the fact that Hugh Grant didn't get in for Heretic, even though he certainly deserved it. Um,
Hmm.
Horror gets short shrifted at the Oscars. Always has. Um, the nomination will be considered to win. It could sneak in and win director, possibly. Um, I wouldn't count Demi Moore out for Best Actress. Um,
No, I wouldn't count
it's
her out either.
got possibilities. The makeup effects are nominated. It could get in there. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up snagging one or two awards.
What I'd
But
like
it's
to
not
say,
going to be
what
Best
I
Picture.
would like to say about Demi Moore and Isabella Rossellini as well. I
Mhm.
was actually surprised to find out that this was their first, respectively, their first Oscar nominations. And
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
seen this a lot with the Academy Awards, where someone who has been very deserving for a very long time has been snubbed over and over and over again. And then they finally give them a nomination, and even they may even win for something that may not even have been their best work. And it
I
seems like a gimme. And I don't like that. It's like a pat on the head.
I've heard though she's very good in The Substance. I've not seen it. I know
Mhm.
it's a body horror movie, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
I think it was described
Yeah.
as. I know
Mhm.
Chris Gore over at Film Threat was a big fan of that movie. But
Well, I mean,
I yeah.
especially Isabella Rossellini. Think of all the movies she's been in that she was absolutely deserving of Best Actress for. And she's just
Mhm.
now being nominated for the first time.
For Conclave, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any of the movies on the list, Stephen? Any that you think could
Uh,
win?
of the Best Picture films, I've seen 3 so far.
I've seen one,
Um,
Complete
I
Unknown.
have
Oh, actually two. I saw Dune Part Two. Yes.
okay. I've seen Dune Part 2. I've seen Conclave. I've actually seen Conclave twice.
Okay.
Uh, and this weekend I did sit down and watch Amelia Perez because I needed to kind of decide for myself.
Right, and which you
And
should do. Yes, yes.
and that movie is a mess.
Okay, is it worse than what was the name of the one? Was it Moonlight? What was the name of that Academy Award winner that won years ago that people were arguing at the time was going to be known as the worst movie to ever win a Best Picture? Was it Moonlight or something like that?
Well, Moonlight I didn't see, so I can't
Okay,
really
all right.
speak to
So
that.
Amelia Perez is a
Um,
mess, though. You're saying,
it
right?
is, and because it can't decide what it wants to be. Is it trying to be a pro trans rights movie? Is it trying to be a crime drama? Is it a musical? And it's not really very good at either. And that's the problem with it. This is not a best picture level movie. I mean, this is very clearly a checkbox movie. It's a middle finger movie. This is Nate is saying here. Um, I don't know who this movie is for, and that's been the problem with so many movies this year. Is when you make a movie that is that aims for, what they used to call the 4-quadrant movie. The movie that tries to have a little something in it for everybody. I don't know who this movie is for. The plot makes very little sense. The songs are not memorable. They're not good. Zoe Saldana tries. I'll give her that.
Okay.
She's probably the best part of the movie. When, and I'll say actress just for the sake of,
that's the nomination category, so go ahead.
I'll say actress. The sequence, which basically the opening 40 minutes, she's playing this drug lord before he transitions. That was actually pretty impressive, I thought, the acting there.
Okay.
So honestly, I was kind of with the movie for the first 40 minutes when it was this crime drama. And then when it goes away from that, and it just, I don't know how to describe it, because it's a movie that's throwing a lot at you at once, and it's not making any sense. Characters do things. The musical numbers are random. It's a mess all the way around.
I think that Nick's comment is very apropos. He says this year's Academy Awards is going to be about giving Donald Trump a middle finger. And
hold on,
absolutely.
I will go on record right now that this will be the lowest rated Oscars census. Oh, since it started. I see.
Yeah.
I would argue too that was the whole point of nominating the what's it called? The
Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
Now it doesn't have a Best Picture nomination, does it? It has a Best Actor, which I was surprised at, because I thought this movie was panned by everybody, critics and audience.
It may have been, but if they can say, hey, yeah, let's honor the the Mandalorian or not the Mandalorian, the what's his name, the
Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan,
Bucky for playing the most hated mustache guy without a mustache. Let's it's a middle finger. And I'll tell you something else. If the trans person wins Best Actress, heaven help them. Heaven help them. Because you're going to have all the feminists coming out and going, oh, so now a man can win Best.
You'll have the English feminists getting angry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, first and second wave feminists, then I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I don't know though. It seems odd that The Apprentice is getting the supporting and Best Actor supporting this. I mean, I know that movie was. Now The Brutalist, that sounds interesting. Have anyone seen that one? That looks like a movie I want to watch. It's got brutal.
Unfortunately, it has not played in my town. I mean, and this is something else that I want to bring up, which is not releasing these movies wide into theaters until the next year. Brutalist hasn't gotten to my town yet, and this thing is already probably going to be on demand before it even gets to theaters here. There's a movie called there's a movie that is actually really good called Better Man, which is getting a lot of kind of vitriol from people who have very clearly not seen it. It is an excellent film. It got nominated in visual effects, which it very well deserves, and may very well win that category. but it again, a movie that was from 2024 but didn't get released in theaters until like a couple of weeks ago. So it's that bleed over, and if there's no advertising for these movies, even though they spend millions of dollars on advertising, which is kind of making me wonder, hey, where is the money going?
Well, it also makes me wonder, how much faith do you really have in these films? You're honoring them, in your ivory tower here, but you apparently aren't willing to spend the money, to see these films succeed, because you know that people won't go see them.
They went too far in the 90s because they were told at that time what they are ignoring the independent features.
Yeah.
True.
So they started paying more attention to independent features. Then you had the whole situation of basically Harvey Weinstein buying Oscars.
Yeah.
That's what that led to.
Why didn't he buy an Oscar for Sling Blade? It was the best movie that year. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
It was a good movie, I agree.
Yes.
But now they have shoved. Now that they have decided that they're going to shove Weinstein under the bus.
Yeah, they don't like him anymore. But
they don't like him anymore.
I'll say I'm mixed on Weinstein's contribution to film. I mean, a lot of respects, I did appreciate the fact that he let unknown directors finally get a shot, which I thought was good, and he helped with that. Whereas, of course, maybe in Kevin Smith's case, that wasn't such a good idea. But at the time, I didn't despise Kevin Smith. I liked some of his earlier movies, but I don't know. I don't get this whole 9 nomination thing, though. That's what threw me off of the Oscars. But I know that's been going on for years. And, of course, you get nominations like things like District 9 got nominated. I'm like, I know it's not going to win. It'd be cool if it did, but it's not going to happen, But you remember District 9, Troy?
I do. I like that movie very much.
That was a good movie. I'd like the one African guy was saying, it's one thing if they came from another country, but these guys from another planet, they got to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That was because it was on the immigration thing or something.
Right.
I don't know though. The Brutalist. I want to see it. It's got Brutalist in it. It's got A Real Pain, written by Jesse Eisenberg. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that any good?
I'm hearing really good things. I think it's on Hulu right now. So either Hulu or Peacock, one of those. So I'm kind of in a situation now where a lot of what I watch is either on streaming or online for the most part. I go to theaters, but not as much.
Right.
Again, you have to, love it or hate it. Amelia Perez, not in theaters. Brutalist, not in theaters. Real Pain, I don't think that was in theaters here. If it did, it played very briefly, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that movies are not given a chance anymore.
I thought that was a rule, though. They had to play in theaters.
Well,
or is it like you get to play in 5 theaters and for 1 week, and that's good enough? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's got to play in like specific cities, and then that's what I'm talking about. And then they go wider later on, sometimes months later on. So it gets a little confusing, and then you have the quote unquote the normies. They haven't heard of a lot of these movies. They'll know maybe Dune and maybe 1 or 2 of the others, but that's it. they'll know the substance maybe. You're talking about movies that people haven't seen. They're not clamoring to see Anora, or they're not going to know I'm still here. I had to look up what that was. Nickel Boys, I know vaguely because the book came out a couple of years ago, so I'm more familiar with it now.
Yeah, I've heard of the title because of the book.
Yeah.
What about Wicked, though? Is Wicked a favorite to win because it's popular?
Popular.
Yeah.
I know about popular.
Yeah. I mean, Wicked has... There would be a time where I would say Wicked had a better shot at it. But, and again, like A Complete Unknown, it is kind of like the safe choice.
It is a musical. They've given the award to musicals before. I think last one was
Sure.
Chicago, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
they have so doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on the politics and the fact that usually the movie with the most nominations gets it.
But they're getting rid of the live songs. If they had, the Wicked stars come out and do the number, it would get viewers. People would tune in just for that.
I
wouldn't, but I know other people would.
They're very slowly taking away everything that made the show fun to watch from back.
Yeah. Peter Coyote as the maitre d' out front, between commercial breaks. Remember that time? That was interesting.
It was okay.
There was weird stuff in the Oscars. That's what I liked about it. I remember there was an article. There was one weird Oscars, and there was another article was, what was Gary Coleman doing at the Oscars? And apparently he was doing some kind of review for some online magazine. And what was he there at the Oscars for? He wasn't in a movie that year. I don't think he's a member of the Academy. But Amelia Perez is a musical? No.
Yeah, it's considered it is considered a musical. Yeah.
Oh no.
It is. That's not the reason they're giving, but it's.
But if that is the case, what a ridiculous thought! Because let's be honest, huge missed opportunity because of Wicked. They just shot themselves in the foot completely this year. This year is going to be a clusterfuck. It really, really is.
Sashi, greetings everyone over here. We're moving towards more Asian stuff because a lot of Western media is moving to streaming, and we only have Netflix and Disney Plus isn't worth it. If they get Cobra Kai in your country, I do recommend Cobra Kai.
You are not the only one. There is a lot of people here in the States that are starting to look outside the United States for their entertainment. Hopefully a lot of things will be changing. Hopefully we'll be getting a lot more independent films too, and some new studios starting up. I do believe that is going to be one of the outcomes of all of this. The Hollywood collapse and, all the other stuff that's going on out there.
Yeah, I remember last year they didn't nominate The Sound of Freedom. Remember that? They didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Of course not, because, again, that would hit a little too close to home for certain people.
Right.
So, is there anything out the Oscars you're looking forward to? Maybe there's come on, they gave David Lynch a Lifetime Achievement Award a few years ago. That was a good thing, right?
They did. Finally, yeah.
Maybe they'll probably do an in remembrance for him at this one, right?
I would hope.
We don't need him for that, though. We did it ourselves.
Yes, I know. But
this is just how I feel about it now. We do this stuff now ourselves. We don't need a bunch of people that hate us to acknowledge somebody we already respect.
Well, how about you, Steven? Are you and other YouTubers like SinsCordy do your top 10 movies of the year sort of thing?
I need to do mine.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to be surprised by what's not on both lists. Not on my best because I haven't seen everything and might not get to everything. And at the same time, there are literally like 30, 40 movies I could just as easily put on my 10 worst. This was a terrible year for film. Terrible. And that's part of why this nomination list seems so weak. I'm not surprised by what got nominated for Best Picture. I think there's like one or two that I thought might make it on there that didn't. They got it wrong. And part of it is this DEI nonsense that is taken over. And the other part of it is the fact that they want a virtue signal, and it's all about checking off boxes now, and that's all Emilia Perez is. It's a checkbox movie. This was a movie that got snubbed by GLAAD.
Really?
No nominations at the GLAAD Awards. None.
That's interesting. This movie. That's very interesting. Why do they hate this movie?
Because it is they look at it as a poor representation
of people from their community.
Woman.
Okay.
It is a movie which Mexicans have been boycotting this movie.
Yeah, I think Paulie was saying some stuff about this.
The divisions. Yeah. Paulie's gone, and now that I have seen a movie, he is absolutely right in everything he has said about this movie. I can understand the upset. You know, you can't just. All right, I'll go into the story a bit here. You have this character who is a drug lord, and everything that goes into that. This is a guy who has murdered quite a number of people. Yes. Either through the drugs that he disseminates throughout the world, or people that he has either had killed or has murdered himself. Just because you decide you want to become this other person does not erase what you have done. And this movie has kind of insisted that, oh, yes, it does. No, I am not going to recommend a movie that's basically feel sorry for the terrorist. No.
Keep in mind that that's probably very much on brand for what they're trying to push. It's like, it's their whole idealism, right? It's look, the movie may suck, but it's got representation in it, so you have to like it. That makes it good. And everyone is going, no, it does not.
You know, and this is part of what I was talking about earlier on Unscripted. You can throw as many, hurl as many insults at me as you want. I've heard it. I'm a white kid from South Carolina. People have been calling me racist since I was 3 years old.
Yep.
I am used to it. Yeah. You have completely watered down that word. It means nothing. Just because someone disagrees with you, they're not Nisterophobe. Just like in very much the same way, just because I disagree with somebody doesn't make that person woke. You can agree to disagree. But if you're going to try to jam an ideology down my throat, I'm not going to play ball. You know, and
you have a
making
right
a
to
movie
make
like
whatever
this
movie
is
you want.
dangerous. You want to. No, I'm not saying don't go out and make the movie. Make the movie,
Right,
fine,
but you don't have
whatever.
a right to
I
to
don't
get
have
me
to
to
like
watch
it.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I watched it because I felt I needed to see it to form my own opinion. And I understand now, having seen it, why the movie is getting the backlash that it is. I dislike it because I just think it's a train wreck of a movie that can't decide on what it is. You know, and this is the same problem that I had with that I saw the TV Glow film. You had two movies here that had a perfect opportunity to allow someone like you keep telling me I don't understand your point of view. You had two movies this year that had the perfect fucking opportunity to come out, excuse my language, the perfect opportunity to help me understand your point of view. And you failed both times. You
kind of makes
can't.
you wonder what the point of representation is.
What's the point? If the message of your movie is only going to be for the people in your own particular group, you know, you can't get upset that straight people don't understand your trans message if you just made a movie for trans people. I am willing to listen. I sat through two movies that were supposed to tell me what I am not understanding. And it failed both times. You know, I'm sorry, but it did. You know, this movie is a train wreck mess that should get no nominations. I saw the TV Glow. I get the David Lynch references in it because I watched that movie on that basis. You know, it was very much has his tone and pacing to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're giving me a movie that has no character development, no discernible plot of any kind. You know, you just have the allegory to back up your BS.
Here's the thing that I think people trying to homage David Lynch kind of fail to understand. Even if you don't understand his films, they make you feel something. That's kind of the point with his films. You know?
Yeah.
More than understanding a story, you should come away with it with an emotion. And I'm thinking that's pretty much not the case here.
Gotcha.
It's a shame. There are a lot of missed opportunities, and there are so many other movies that they could have put into that Best Picture slot, and they didn't do it. Sing Sing could just as easily have been in there.
Sing Sing.
That's one that absolutely comes to my mind. Yeah, I'm glad that it got the nominations it got, but it deserved a lot more. And they're shooting themselves in the foot with the checkboxing, with the attitude. It's just, these people live in they live in a different world. B, they do honestly believe that the movies they make, quote unquote, save lives. That's what they think they're doing. They think they're revolutionaries when they're just playing follow the leader.
They want to be priests instead of entertainers. That's basically, they want to be lecturing the audience.
There's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
I have a question. Actor in a leading role. you don't think they're going to give it to Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, and if they do, is it so he will give some kind of anti-Trump speech? I don't know.
Could be.
Well,
and look, they do it at their own peril. Because again, I'm gonna keep bringing this up. He won the popular vote. That should tell you that the majority of the voting populace does not agree with you people. Stop it. Go back and listen to Ricky Gervais.
All right. Any final thoughts?
This is going to be the lowest rated Oscars in history.
Yep.
Yeah, they've not been doing well.
There will be popular movies that will do well. I think Wild Robot might win. Flow could knock it off, but I think Wild Robot's going to win for animated. I think The Substance will snag a couple, but this thing is going to be the Amelia Perez show. I have this weird feeling that it's just going to be the Amelia Perez show, and it's going to be political. They're going to go up there on stage and they're going to say something stupid. Conan O'Brien is hosting. I think that's probably the best thing to come
He's
out
one
of
of the
this.
least political of the late night hosts, right? As I recall.
He's one of the least political.
Yes.
And I think he'll try to keep it together, but I think he's going to get outnumbered.
Probably that's what's going to happen, yeah.
And
all right.
It's going to be this thing's going to be a train wreck, folks. It's either going to be a fun, glorious train wreck, or it's just going to be a boring train wreck. So,
and
I'm
yeah, with no songs.
No songs. It's like
as usual. I'll sit it out and wait for the commentaries.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up. Deleted scenes. Thank you for popping by.
You're welcome.
All right. And I know you have a show coming up in a little while too. That'll be it'll be
right. I will. I will be forwarding. I will be forwarding people that are here with me over to him when we end tonight.
All right. Cool beans. And of course, we will be on Tuesday for Sparkwood 21. Our Twin Peaks weekly stream, and of course we did a big tribute to David Lynch last week, and
we did.
It's sad that he's gone, and Mulholland Drive, considered by critics best movie of the aughts, the first decade of the 2000s. Yeah,
works for me.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right.
Ready.
All right. And let me see. So I guess we're going to go on to the next article.
Sure.
Did you want to stick around, Deleted, or did you want to? Did you have to head out?
I can stick around. Yeah.
Only if you want to. I don't want to keep you up because I know
I'm good. I can stick around.
All right, cool. Then we'll move on. All right.
What, you think he actually takes a nap before his late night show?
I don't know what he was gonna do. Maybe he had to use the can or have make a hot toddy or something. No, actually, anyway. So let's move on to what's the next story. What is that?
We're talking about
Paul Rubens.
Away Pee-wee Herman. Are we not talking about Pee-wee Herman?
We are going to talk. Well, why did I talk about him in the beginning if we're not talking about him now? I'm kidding. Hit me. It's okay.
There we go. Bring him back again.
Lately. I haven't even talked to you about work stuff going on. Go ahead and FKHC's 2005. Yes, Pee-wee was gay. Well, is that what this documentary was insinuating? I don't know if he ever said that in real life. Do you have a post for the link for the article?
Look up too.
Well,
I gotta scroll up. I gotta scroll up, as Troy always says. Hold on. There we are. Okay.
All right.
There we go. It's just
look, here's my thing, and I'm gonna say this about. I guess I'll be saying this about Pee-wee, but I will say this about every artist that is passed, because you mentioned James Dean earlier, and I've even heard people trying to say that Abraham Lincoln was gay. And it's like, look, people, I don't care what you believe. If this person was not openly gay in their lifetime, then it is not your place to out them after death any more than it's anyone's business to out you if you're gay.
Yes, that's up to the person to do themselves. Yeah.
My question.
Go ahead.
My question, though, is: was this a documentary that he approved of prior to his death? I mean, how far back were they filming this before he passed?
I don't know.
Or were they?
Let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and read the article. Let's see if we get some answers. I was born in 1938 in a little house on the edge of the Mississippi River. My father worked on a steamboat. Paul Reubens tells Matt Wolf, director of the new 2-part HBO documentary series Pee-wee as himself. He, of course, was not. Reubens was born in Peaksville, New York in 1952. His father was a lot of things, including a founder of the Israeli Air Force. But he definitely didn't work on a steamboat. That's pretty impressive, actually. But anyway, Pee-wee as himself, the bottom line, thoughtful. Okay, so Reubens' joke, one of the first things he says in the documentary, points to two important things that are central to Pee-wee as himself. An entertaining, enlightening, and enjoyable confounding portrait of an enjoyably confounding artist. First, Reubens, who died in 2023, had been constructing his own identity for decades. He spent so many years making talk show appearances and personal cameos as a beloved alter ego, Pee-wee Herman, that it became impossible to know who the man behind the squeaky voice suit-wearing man-child was. One of the many pleasures of Pee-wee as himself is getting a sense that Reubens, as a separate personality, even as the possibility never quite leaves your mind that Paul Reubens, as featured in Pee-wee as himself, could be every bit as fabricated as Pee-wee Herman. That gives Wolf the impossible task of opening one Reubens Pee-wee nesting doll after another, looking for the root Reubens, Pee-wee Prime. The process of studying and interpreting Paul Reubens could be known as hermeneutics, a not quite joke that will amuse exactly 7 people. But second, Reubens filmed 40 hours of interviews with Wolf. So, okay, this was okay. And the impression conveyed by Pee-wee as himself is one of constant push and pull. Reubens initially wanted to make his own documentary about himself, only to be talked out of it by Wolf and friends and loved ones, and it's a decision he hasn't made peace with at the time of the filming. You're not supposed to control your own documentary, admits Reubens. You don't have perspective, really, on yourself. Fitting words for a man, the most catchphrase ended with, "But what am I?" As featured on the documentary, Reubens is constantly breaking character, with the character being Paul Reubens replaced by Paul Reubens, accusing Wolf of trying to steer him or try to build their back and forths toward predetermined destinations. The confrontations are almost always good-humored, perhaps another character being played. Either way, the doc gives a version of Reubens I've never seen before, offer insights into his career that range from hilarious to heartbreaking, will make Pee-wee as himself a must-watch for multiple generations, raised on and warped by all things Pee-wee. As Rubin points out, and which got Reubens in trouble in the second half of his life, he spent 5 decades collecting things, including 1,000 hours of personal footage and tens of thousands of personal photographs going back to early childhood. This is a treasure trove that elevates a documentary nearly as much as those recounted stories. With Pee-wee Herman standing as one of pop culture's defining Peter Pan figures, I found the first part 99 minutes, the second part's 101 minutes, though they both race by, more captivating. Development of Arrested Development. It's one thing to hear about Reubens' childhood obsession with circuses, his transition into local theater in Florida, and then to avant-garde, and then to improv comedy. It's another thing to see footage of the elegantly androgynous young Reubens forging several of those constructed identities, experimenting with characters, and discovering his sexuality before Pee-wee Herman was even a germ of an idea. There's a charisma and a versatility to those home movies, groundlings, tapes, and excerpts from early media appearances like The Gunn Show that make one lament Reubens' hypothetical chameleonic career that Pee-wee consumed like so many unborn siblings absorbed in utero. One can see in the nascent Reubens a performer who might have won Oscars or have been the biggest cult star in the world, which I guess he ended up being anyway. Let me see. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it does explore his sexuality. It's not saying what that is.
I will say this. Seeing, these comments are obviously out of context if you haven't seen the document or the film,
yes.
Which I have not yet. But I would argue that if you pay attention to what they said, talking about something about androgyny or something like that, and equating that to talking about his sexuality, I have a real problem with that because if you look at the character of Pee-wee Herman, right, androgynous because he's like a child, right? Androgynous like a prepubescent.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with sexuality.
Nope.
I do not feel comfortable ascribing sexuality to someone who is clearly trying to portray someone who is like a child.
But also, this is Ruben's thing. It sounds like in this documentary that this could be another fake character he's creating for the screen.
It really sounds like it. In fact, when you read that opening, it reminded me of Weird Al Yankovic's so-called biopic.
Oh, that one, yes, with the guy Daniel Radcliffe, yes.
Where it's like you really don't believe this is, this is a tongue-in-cheek, shtick. I'd even almost compare it to just about everything that what's his name? The one that played Latka.
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman, yeah. Like an Andy Kaufman biopic, right? It's like, I'm not sure how much of this I can actually believe,
Gotcha. Anyway, okay. So I guess we'll find out more as the documentary comes out, and who knows
I do find this interesting, if you don't mind me bringing this up. Darkwoods Presents says, Rubens has a wife. I had Thanksgiving dinner with them 10 years ago. Well, if you know him personally and you don't think he's gay, I don't think he's gay, but yeah, that's a good point. It's no one's right to speak for him. Well, we'll see this.
What does it matter now?
No, it absolutely does not.
Has passed. It has, nothing to do. I don't look at the Pee-wee character as gay in any way.
Absolutely not.
I don't think of him that way, or any of the
characters. I would say, since he's always kind of interested in certain girls, it would imply quite the opposite. But I will say this, the fact that people do talk about it says more about them than it does about Paul Rubens. It's you want to use this, you want to project something onto this person for your own personal socio-political reasons.
Yeah.
And I think that's ghoulish.
Which goes back to my initial question was, was his intent to quote unquote come out in this documentary, or is this just a way that this thing is being edited together?
Yeah.
I mean,
until we see it, I don't know.
There's no way of knowing until we see it. And certainly, yes, I see in the chat that we're kind of having a split vote here, but I am of the mind that it doesn't. I mean, the man has passed away. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And it didn't matter while he was alive. It's okay. Do not get me wrong. I am not someone who cares if anybody is gay or not. It doesn't matter. Okay. I am of the mind I do not need to know unless you feel the need to tell me.
And this was his need to tell people or not tell people, and
we're not going to know until this documentary is released, and if he chooses to confirm certain things during the course of this okay, if it comes straight out of his mouth during the course of this documentary, okay.
Well, I guess we're going to find out one way or the other, or maybe we won't, because maybe it's just a bunch of BS. I don't know, but
well, I was just going to say too. I mean, Tim is talking about having deleted an article about it. Why am I going to believe an article? I just got through saying that other people talking about his sexuality is all secondhand, and he said, she said. We'll watch this documentary, which he apparently had something to do with, and see what he himself said, because this is really kind of his last word on his life, and if he makes it very clear, yep, I'm queer as a $3 bill, well, then he was queer as a $3 bill, and that's how he wanted to be remembered.
Do you think this will be a good double feature with that William Shatner documentary?
I haven't seen that either, but yeah.
All right. So moving on to that's why we brought up Pee-wee. I needed something for good old days.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Oh, here we go.
It doesn't end. Wait a minute. What the heck?
Did you skip? Did you
I
put one
skipped
in for
one.
the?
I skipped one. I skipped a slide. I skipped a slide. I skipped the Paul Schrader slide. Oh well.
You want me
We'll
to
get
still
to this in
drop
a
that?
moment. Just do the Paul Schrader slide.
Okay, we'll do.
I failed.
That
Okay.
happens.
I missed a slide. I'm usually pretty good at this. All right. Okay. This has nothing to do with the article on screen, but
Although
let's
I'm not
just
entirely convinced that picture isn't AI generated, but that's beside the
all
point.
right. This is Paul Schrader was in the news recently. Don't know how I missed this. Okay, in stark contrast to a number of Hollywood creatives, Oscar-nominated writer-director Paul Schrader posits ChatGTP can write original and fleshed-out screenplays. The Oak Canada screenwriter posted on Facebook that he asked the general artificial intelligence-powered chatbot to come up with an idea for a film for a variety of renowned filmmakers, including himself, and the results were more than satisfactory. I'm stunned. I just asked ChatGTP for an idea for a Paul Schrader film, then Paul Thomas Anderson, then Quentin Tarantino, then Harmony Korine, then Igmar Bergman, then Rossellini, Lang, Scorsese, Capra, Ford, Spielberg, etc. Lynch, even David Lynch, he began the post. Schrader concluded every idea ChatGPT came up with in a few seconds was good and original and fleshed out. Why should writers sit around for months searching for a good idea when AI can provide one in seconds? What do you think?
Wait, that's the whole article?
That's it. It's a short article. It's Paul Schrader says ChatGTP is pretty cool.
Okay, that's a very far cry from what the title says. I was waiting to hear about a fleshed out movie script. And that's a very different thing from coming up with an idea that would be good for a particular director.
I mean, I posted the highlight, but I don't think there was much more to that. Hold on. Let me click
I
on
mean,
it.
how is that any different than getting an idea from, I don't know, Yahtzee dice, or some other kind of randomizer that throws out random words and you make a sentence out of it and you come up suddenly with an idea for a movie. Name a character. I tell the ChatGPT, give me the name of a female girl boss who's going to star in my film about this, that, and the other, and it comes up with a name. How is that any different than going into a tabletop role-playing game random name generator and generating a name? Yeah. What I'm getting at is that I don't think that takes anything away from the normal way that writers come up with story ideas.
Well, it's Paul Schrader though. He wrote the screenplay for Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
But I don't hear him in this article actually saying that if ChatGPT had come up with the idea for Taxi Driver, it could have written as well, in quotes, fleshed out a script as he did. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
An original idea, yes. An original script.
That human element. I mean, you can go on to one of these AI sites. I've never tried it, but I got to be honest. I've been a little curious about, if I went to ChatGPT, what I could come up with. But in the end, you are dealing with a machine.
Yeah.
It's not going to. It may spit out some interesting ideas at you, but it still needs that human touch. You have enough people go to movies and say AI wrote that film.
Yeah.
AI wrote that film. Okay.
I'll tell you,
it feels like it was written by committee or written by an AI. You still need that human factor. And you can use AI all you want. There's always going to be something missing. The heart is going to be missing.
I guess. I mean, it's. I does anyone in the chat use ChatGPT for anything? Have you used it before, Troy?
Not ChatGPT specifically, but large language models like it. I have, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
No, Matanui's right. It's a glorified search engine. All it's doing is taking from existing things. That's not all it's doing, but you're mostly right. It is kind of breaking it down into its constituent parts and generating something new. It's not as simple as cut and paste. It's kind of like you were saying with the search engines, when you're typing into Google and it tries to finish your word and sentence for you. Word does that too. It'll try to fill in words and sentences for you. And you can accept it or not. It may or may not be where you're going. And as it gets to know you personally, and I don't mean that in the literal sense, but I mean as you do more things, you are teaching it what things you usually think about, and it starts to predict what you're going to say, just like a married couple who finishes each other's sentences because you basically know what they're going to say. Not always correct, but usually. It is very much like that. The best way that I could describe it is I've used, and I'm probably going to get away from this particular platform because I know that there's other better ones out there, but Midjourney, when you type in a prompt, imagine, well, let's just go with what's on screen right now. Imagine Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, surrounded by flowers, screaming like she's afraid of something, right? And you will get 4 different pictures. One might be very much like this one. One might actually not be Margot Robbie. It might look like somebody else entirely. One will look like she's laughing and not screaming, because it doesn't understand in the literal sense what you're saying. It generates things that it thinks you're getting at, and then you start narrowing it down. Okay, let's have variations on this one. This is close to what I wanted. And then you start to go from there. But now, I have a year of premium for Perplexity. I'll have to look into Perplexity.
I don't know. I'm very skeptical of AI and machine learning. Of course, my icon on the screen was made with AI, so maybe.
Well, there you
go. I'm looking at this paragraph here. It says, "I'm stunned. I just asked for a GPT for an idea for a Paul Schrader film. Then Paul Thomas Anderson, then Tarantino, and he goes on, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can ask, but it's still AI. They're not going to be able to bring to the piece what Paul Thomas Anderson can, what Tarantino can, and harmony currents from a whole other freaking planet. I don't,
I remember.
I refuse to believe any AI can, just spit out a harmony current script at you. But, it's like I said, it's that you need that human touch.
I remember an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Geordi creates, he's got some kind of problem that he's trying to solve, and he's got very little time, and it's life and death. The ship's going to blow up if they do this wrong. And he creates a holographic representation of the engineer who was behind a lot of the design of the Enterprise. It was this girl named Alea Brahms. And he tells the computer, just fill her with everything that she ever wrote, everything she ever said in a speech, personal writings, everything. and make it, as much like her as possible, so he could get as close a representation to talking to her as was possible. And the B plot is he kind of falls in love with her, and in a later episode they return to this, and it turns out that he gets to meet the real Leia Brahms. And I'm not going to say she was nothing like the homunculus that was created in the holodeck, but she wasn't the same. She was somebody else. And then she finds out about this thing, and she's like, yeah, she's like really, really upset. Although in canon,
does the hologram kiss him at the end of the episode or something? Is that what happened?
They have a romantic interchange. I don't remember if it involved a kiss or not, but in the canon of the show, he did end up marrying the real Leia Brahms. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. But the point is that you can only get so close to an approximation, before, the fact is it's a simulacrum. It's a facsimile. It is not, I suppose Nate put it the best way. It has no soul. It certainly doesn't have the soul of the person you're trying to emulate. And welcome, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yep, we're here telling you what's up. That's for sure. Not WhatsApp, but what's up.
Funny. I always figured it was what's up because of those commercials, but you said WhatsApp.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on to the next article, which I don't have to move on to because it's right here.
But I do have to. But I do still have to drop the link. So give me a second.
Are you excited, Steven? Are you excited for the Gunverse?
I'm not waiting with bated breath or anything, but I'm willing to give it a chance.
I've watched Creature Commando, so I guess I've already taken part in the Gunverse.
Oh, well, that's all canon from what I hear.
What did you think of it?
I'll say this: it's like a James Gunn style thing, but it's like, you remember the movie Super? You ever see his movie Super? James Gunn Super.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I really like that movie, but it works because it's not taking place in the DC universe. It's about, like, what if this weirdo decided to try to become an actual superhero, and, like, he hits someone over the head with a wrench and the guy's head is bleeding because, you don't hit someone over the head with a wrench. It's not like in a comic strip, where they get knocked out. And I like that movie, but I don't know if that style of humor works in a DC universe. And let's just read the article.
Yeah.
All right, let's get past Paul Schrader. Okay, the DCU has officially kicked off with Creature Commandos, which means everything that came before is now non-canon, sort of. DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn took to Blue Sky, everyone's favorite social media platform, to clarify some questions surrounding the canon status of his other DC projects.
That should tell you all you need to know, too.
The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, by the sounds of it, they're not canon, but also kind of are. Short answer, only Creature Commandos Forward is pure canon. For instance, Rick Flag Jr. was killed because we heard Rick Flag Sr. talk about it on Creature Commandos, not because we saw it in the Suicide Squad, Gunn wrote. Long answer, only Creature Commandos Forward is pure canon. Peacemaker is almost entirely consistent with that canon, other than the Justice League. The Suicide Squad has a lot of consistencies, but think of it as an imperfect memory, he concluded. While this isn't super clear, we're sure that everything will make more sense as time goes on and more DC Studios projects are released. This isn't the first time Gunn has clarified some canon questions either. He recently took to the internet to explain why certain TV shows didn't have the DC Studios fanfare attached. Next up for DC is Superman, previously titled Superman Legacy. The movie stars David Corenswet as Supes himself, with Rachel Brosnahan. Okay, there we go. As Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor arrives on July 11th. I'm hearing crickets now.
I didn't know when the article was done.
It's over.
Okay.
That's it. It's okay. So Creature Commandos is canon. The Suicide Squad is not canon, but perhaps elements of it are as an
So,
imperfect memory.
Let me give my impression of what I think he's saying. Basically, he wants it to all be canon, but he's backing off of some elements of particularly things that Peacemaker says, things that were objectionable to people that actually care about DC canon. I will bet you that's what it is.
Good grief, if you have no idea.
Good point, yeah.
What
your canon is going to be, then how are you making a shared universe? Well, this is DC. They're just, they're mothballing Schneider, and they're giving it to someone else who's going to do the same thing he did.
How are you going to be able to fool the investors long enough to get another interested party interested in buying Warner Media? I'm sorry, wait, that didn't come out. That's not what's happening here. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Gorilla Random Thoughts says only James Gunn I've seen is PG Prawn. Was he involved with that? Was he involved with just one in particular, or all of them?
I think he was. I think you sent me the links to it one time. I think he was involved in that, yeah.
Because there was several of them that I thought were brilliant, but I did not know. I knew he directed at least one of them, but and the stars of it. What's interesting is the stars were like Nathan Fillion and who's the one that played Wash in Firefly?
Alan Tudyk.
Oh yeah,
Alan Tudyk, yeah. Good actor. But also some real adult entertainment actors kind of mixed together, and it's a very funny take on the filming of adult entertainment. There's nothing. It's called PG because it's mostly. It's a little bit raunchy humor, but there's no nudity or any, none of that kind of stuff. And it's very, very. I would recommend it. It's very tongue in cheek. Look, I don't hate James Gunn. I just don't think he's the right person for this job. He really is not.
I would have liked him for a Justice League International movie. I think that would have been the sweet spot. But,
not overseeing the whole of the DC universe. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feels like it's a consistently shifting canon, and the movie isn't even out yet. That's what it feels like to me. All right. Let's move on.
Are we now going to talk about the collapse of the gaming industry? Because that's basically what every article is about.
Well, maybe the collapse of Western AAA development, but let's read this article. This is Electronic Arts. You've heard of them, right?
I have, yeah.
They were around back in the day of the Commodore 64.
Yes, they were.
Electronic Arts share price has taken a bit of a tumble after the publisher announced it would be revising its financial outlook following the disappointing sales of EA Sports FC 25 and Dragon Age: The Veilguard. In just a single day, the company's share price dropped by more than 16% from 142.35 USD to 118.58 USD. Things are leveling out somewhat after the time of the writing, but it certainly
when you hit zero, it's going to level out.
Okay. Despite this, EA has experienced a fluctuating share price throughout the years. As it stands, its current valuation is still higher than it was back in 2023. Still, it can't be a pretty sight for the big suits. EA recently stated that EA Sports FC 25 experienced a slowdown in sales following strong initial momentum, while Dragon Age: The Veilguard failed to meet initial expectations by around 50%. No doubt things will bounce back in the coming days and weeks. These things always do, after all. That said, the company currently has very little on the immediate horizon, with just Split Fiction, I don't know what that is, and Plants vs. Zombies 3 listed on its coming soon website page. Remember Plants vs. Zombies, Troy?
I have no idea what that is. No.
You don't know what Plants vs. Zombies is?
No.
Okay, well, that'll be a discussion for another day.
The only EA game I know I have stopped supporting, and that's
The Sims.
The Sims, yeah. I've even removed it from my system to clear up hard drive space.
I don't know what FC25 is. If that's a soccer game, they really screwed up because I thought the soccer was the one that had the pay pigs on it. They would always get people playing those soccer games and paying big money for the online features. But all right, let's go to the next one, and that'll round out our EA conversation.
Yeah. This is that Veilguard thing or whatever it is.
This was the game they released. We talked about this a few months ago. Now, I remember at the time people were saying, "Oh, it's still doing pretty good. It's not doing bad. It's not the disaster you think it is." Blah blah. Apparently, it is the disaster that everybody was saying it was.
Yeah.
When the media was complaining, saying, "Oh, this is just guys online ranting about it. That people like this game." Apparently, they have not. A weird week for BioWare just got a little weirder as EA revealed its new quarterly official statements that Dragon Age: The Veilguard underperformed sales expectations by 50% for the company's 2025 fiscal year third quarter. Dragon Age: The Veilguard game director Corinne Bush, an 18-year-old veteran of EA, left the company voluntarily last week, not even 3 months after the release of the long-awaited sequel. Remember Smash JT? He got that insider talking about the stuff going on over at Bungie. About how if you were like a straight white male, it was very uncomfortable to be there and you're not getting promotions and stuff. Okay. Meanwhile, unsubstantiated rumors surfaced claiming EA was planning to shut down BioWare's Edmonton studio, although industry insiders, including Jeff Grubb, shut those rumors down. At the same time, Mass Effect 5 project director Michael Gamble appeared to assure fans that the RPG is in safe hands. EA CEO Andrew Wilson touched on both Dragon Age: The Veilguard and FC25's shortcomings in the financial statement. During quarter 3, we continue to deliver high-quality games and experience across our portfolio. However, Dragon Age and EA Sports FC25 underperformed our net bookings expectations, Wilson said, adding that the updates FC25 yielded positive player feedback and saying we remain confident in our long-term strategy and expect to return to growth in FY26 as we execute against our pipeline. Wait, what?
I don't know. It sounds like corporate speak to me.
Execute against our pipeline?
I don't know.
As far as we know, the only big project happening for BioWare after Dragon Age: Veilguard is Mass Effect 5, but studio veteran Mark Dura, who left in 2021 after nearly 20 years, recently said he doesn't think the sequel is at a point where it can provide work to that many developers. At a time when the video game industry is shedding talent all the time, it's only natural to read information like this with some concern for the developers at BioWare. EA let go nearly 700 workers back in February 2024 amid a year that saw 1 in 10 game developers lose their jobs to layoffs. All I can say with any certainty is that BioWare is probably really keen on making a big hit out of Mass Effect 5, which is probably also going to be a trash fire because Mass Effect Andromeda was. PewDiePie had a big video about it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am going to say this about games and the gaming industry in general, and that's that I have a feeling, just based on observations, that just like we were seeing for the past 5 to 10 years with movies, right, that we knew sucked, that we knew did not do well. If you talked badly about them online, you would have the trolls coming out of the woodwork to just rip into you in the comment section.
Yes.
The reason I bring that up is because it really sounds like there's elements of that as you're hearing people say, "Oh yeah, I think Dragon Age was pretty good." Well, then where are all the sales? Why are all the people out there doing commentaries on it saying that it sucks? And I do want to hold up, again, Michael French over at Retro Blasting just did a video about the Indiana Jones and the Seventh Circle of Hell or whatever it is, and he doesn't pull any punches. And he says all the same things that I've heard a lot of other gamers say, but in his comment sections, they're ripping him apart, saying he's a liar, saying he doesn't understand Indiana Jones, saying he doesn't understand games, he should shut his mouth if he doesn't like something. And it's like...
Yep, you're not allowed to have an opinion. Yeah.
This sounds a lot like what we were talking about before with like I said, the movies and so forth. You know what? I'm wondering if I can't.
We'd get attacked over our Star Trek comments a while back. Remember that? Because everybody loves new Trek, except nobody does. I don't hear anybody who likes that.
Right? Exactly.
On the bright side, it will be an open market for indie developers. Indie games are blowing up right now. He means independently made games, not Indiana Jones. But perhaps an independently made Indiana Jones game.
A little bit better. There we go.
What are you doing?
I was just rearranging so I could blow it up a little bit and put us in front of the black
okay,
space.
I guess you could.
No, you don't like that?
It's just leave it alone. It's fine. It's fine. Any thoughts on this deleted scenes? You know, you could in the character creation screens in this game, you could give your character transition scars in a medieval fantasy role playing game.
Oh God!
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm sure they had very sophisticated trans surgery back then. Back when they were doing tympanations on your brain for migraines, right? They were able to turn your outie into an innie. I'm sure of it.
And there was one of the main characters was some kind of ogre-looking thing, or I don't know. Actually, if I'm using the correct pronouns, they had horns because they had come out as non-binary in the game, and there's an argument in the game about her being non-binary with their mother. Okay, in a fantasy RPG.
We're going to get dingbats giving us, crap in the comments section later about, you're looking for medieval realism in a completely fantasy setting with magic and vampires and dragons. No, I'm not. Quite the contrary. If you're going to have transgendered characters in such a fantasy setting, they're probably not going to have scars. They're probably going to use, like in Dungeons and Dragons, a girdle of gender change. And they're magically going to be turned into the other gender without those scars. That's how fantasy works. If you want to do your gender change, and you want to get really into it, go back and look at the sequels of The Wizard of Oz if you want to see where Frank Baum wrote about a character that was actually a girl but was presenting as a boy until magically changed back. Yeah, look into that.
I knew it. Toto was a girl. No.
Actually,
okay.
That may actually be true. I don't even know.
Okay.
The point is this shouldn't be in games,
Exactly.
And it's all this agenda politics. It's infected everything. It needs to stop. These people need to get a hold of themselves and just realize that the money that they think is there, the audience that they think is there, isn't. And two things are going to happen. They're either going to preach to the choir, or
it's
they're
funny
going to try to kowtow to this audience that doesn't exist.
I was just going to say, it's funny you say that because, again, this goes back to what you were saying about the representation that these communities don't want, right? Mm-hmm. These people that are transgendered would rather not have the scars, would rather not, in quotes, present that way. If they could magically change their gender, they would. And so to be in a world where in theory you might be able to do that and can't, that's not the representation they want. And again, this is representation for representation's sake, not to edify the people you're supposed to be representing. Darkwoods says, on the bright side, it will open up the market for the indie developers. Indie games are blowing up right now.
Yes, they are.
I would like to believe that's true. Yeah,
they are.
Yeah,
they are. They're. I buy indie games all the time. I mean, because the AAA, I have to worry about many things like, bloated prices, which we'll get to that in a minute.
I love what Matanui said. I'm assuming he's serious about this. And the Thieves Guild that doesn't steal, which calls into question how it's a Thieves Guild.
Is that in this game?
Is that really?
I'm sure there's a lot of other awful stuff in this game too. This is just this is BioWare. They're what's left of the people that made Baldur's Gate. Remember those Baldur's Gate games from back in the day? This is what's left of them.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I have a suspicion no one from the original company, that team that made those games, still works there. I think those programmers probably moved on.
And here's something interesting. I was going to make a point about Baldur's Gate, that Baldur's Gate, when Netter and I used to play it, the original, the original first Baldur's Gate, Baldur's Gate 2 and so forth, all the expansions. As a Dungeons and Dragons player, it was very interesting because you could tell that the game mechanics for the tabletop game, the 18 strength, the saving throws, magic and all that stuff, were built into the game. They worked exactly the same. You just didn't have to roll dice. It did it behind the scenes. And I kind of really liked that. And I was going to say they should go back to making it like Dungeons & Dragons. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. If they're basing this on modern Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, where you got wheelchair accessible dungeons and goblins that go to prom, I mean, maybe this is exactly what Dungeons & Dragons is now.
A goblin prom.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Moving on to...
Because goblins aren't evil anymore now.
Wait, what just happened?
That's racial profiling.
Go back.
The last one. There you go.
Oh, is this the last one? Okay, last article of the night.
It could be.
Starfish Command. If you have to ask, you'll never know. I'm sorry.
Actually, there's supposed to be one.
That's no joke. I'm sorry. Move on.
I remember an old game for the Genesis called, I think, Star Control. It might have also been on PC. It was rather neat. It was like a space version of Monopoly, except you got to shoot at other spaceships.
There you go.
With another 2 of Sony's live service PlayStation 5 games canceled and sent to the scrap heap, PlayStation fans and games media have started to truly map out the results of the company's games as a service efforts announced a few years ago. The results out of an unexpected Helldivers 2 success story are incredibly damning. In 2022, Sony announced it had 12 live service projects from first-party and partner studios in development. In the time since then, most have been canceled. From what we know so far, as Sony never publicly named them, here is what the list looks like. Last of Us multiplayer, canceled in December 2023. Marvel's Spider-Man The Great Web, canceled back in December 2023. London Studio Live Service game. We don't know what that title was. Canceled February 2024. Twisted Metal. Canceled in February 2024. Helldivers 2 was released. Payback Project from Bungie. Canceled in August 2024. Concord released in August, but taken offline forever after just 2 weeks. Live service game from Ben's Studio. Canceled in January 2025. Live service God of War game from Bluepoint. Canceled January 2025. Fair Games, announced in May 2023, still in production. That's supposed to still be coming out. People are going to think it's going to be the next Concord, though. Marathon announced in May 2023, still in production. Horizon Online, unannounced but widely rumored a project. Of the 12 projects, 7 will never see the light of day. Concord is already no longer playable, so you could well increase the total to 8. When a live service title set in the God of War universe is canceled, it's difficult to make confidence in something like Fair Game making it to market either. Sony has a handful of single-player games already announced for its core user base, including Ghosts of Yotai, Death Stranding 2, Intergalactic, and Marvel's Wolverine. Beside those, however, it's very difficult to track what Sony developers have in the works right now and how into those projects they are. Everyone assumed Bluepoint was making something in the single-player realm. It wasn't. In response to something suggesting Sony's tentpole slate looking dire at the moment, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg responded, trying to make 12 live service games will have that effect. It's possible PlayStation fanatics could be living off single-player scraps for the years to come. There's actually a real problem too, because I believe that Sony put a lot of money into these games that will never see the light of day. And now we're not going to see, they didn't put that production into a lot of single player titles they could have released that would have sold. So they got kind of nothing on the horizon right now, because they followed this one executive who they think they since let go, the guy behind Concord, and they said everything's going to be a live service game. You know what a live service game is?
You got to be online to play it.
It's like Fortnite, or maybe was there even a Sims Online? There's
there was
Overwatch, things like that. And the idea is the kids pay money for costumes and stuff.
Well,
there's a very popular live service game right now called Marvel, a Marvel live service game, which people really like because they made the characters good looking.
There's another problem though, is there's a lot of one player games where you're not directly interacting with people, but you still have to be online to play it. You're literally playing a game and your internet goes out and your game dies on you. And it's like, why? That makes no sense. Well, I know why they do it, but this should really be upsetting people.
So yes, and I guess that's why people want to turn to the indies, because they're not pulling that stuff right now. Today's indies are tomorrow's major studios. I've come to that conclusion, but let's move on to the last article of the night. And do I even have a slide for that, or did I mess up again? Let's see.
I don't
Next
think
slide. I got nothing. That's all right. We'll just place it over our mugs. All right. Grand Theft Auto 6 price. Many in the video game industry hope for $80, if not $100, analyst says. I'm not hoping for that.
There you go.
I thought $70 was a bit ridiculous, but I guess here we are. There is hope among some within the game industry that Grand Theft Auto will be priced between $80 and $100, one analyst said. In a wide-ranging presentation at the State of Gaming 2020, Epilon CEO Matthew Ball said Rockstar's guaranteed megafit could establish packed video game prices after decades of deflation despite rampant cost growth. Grand Theft Auto 6, due out fall 2025 on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, is the long way to follow up to 2013's record-breaking Grand Theft Auto 5. Analysts have projected it will make an eye-watering $3 billion in this first year alone, with $1 billion in pre-orders before it even launches. It seems that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be the biggest entertainment launch in history, with revenue ahead of any film. But how much will Grand Theft Auto 6 cost the game? Most AAA games cost $70 as standard after a $10 price hike that kicked off with the current generation of consoles in 2020. Could Rockstar and its parent company Take-Two use Grand Theft Auto 6 as an opportunity to go higher 5 years later? In his report, Ball reported that some game makers hope Grand Theft Auto 6 will be priced at $80 to $100, breaking the $70 barrier and helping $50 titles to move up to $60, $60 to $70, $70 to $80. And I guess customers be turned upside down and the money shaken out of their wallets. That's what this sounds like to me. But while this price hike would certainly raise eyebrows within the video game audience, Ball argued that $70 GTA 6 would be the cheapest GTA game ever released. In real terms, that would be take inflation into account. In real terms, $91 would be average, Ball said. What do you think?
I think it's way overpriced. I think it's ridiculous. And if people are stupid enough to pay for this, given the things I've been hearing about the game, that's on them.
Hard pass on the game. Sick of bugs and hot fixes. I need to find another hobby. Yeah, I don't know. It's we'll see where this all ends up. But I think if any game would cross that Rubicon, it would be Grand Theft Auto, because it's a guaranteed hit. Basically, Rockstar's been able to sell the same game over and over again for the past few years with Grand Theft Auto 5, so I could see them. I don't know. What do you think? See, what the game companies used to do was they used to do packages where you'd have the base game at $60, but if you want the collector's edition, it's $80, and if you want the super deluxe collector's edition, it's $100, and then if you want the fancy version that comes with a bust of one of the characters, it's like $300. They would go. That's how they would have tiers. But now it sounds like they may just make the base game $100 if they listen to these analysts. So I don't know.
Overpriced.
I never got it, but they did it because the Tron game that came out on PlayStation 3 wasn't that good from what I'd heard, but it came with a cool little replica statue of the light cycle, and I think I should have picked that up just for that. What do you think? I got the Ghostbusters collector's package when it got cheap because nobody bought it when it came out for the Ghostbusters game, and I got a Slimer, like a Slimer on top of the Ghostbusters sign, and he was like plastic green, and there was a sign underneath it. It's kind of neat. Do you believe me?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, that wraps it up.
I don't think you would lie to us. I mean, No.
The fingers on his hand broke off at some point. It wasn't that well made. They were probably charging $100 for that thing at the least with the game. But okay, I got Ghostbusters sticker with it too. The puffy kind. Remember the puffy stickers?
I do remember puffy stickers.
There you go. Well, they gave you Ghostbusters puffy stickers.
I liked them in theory, but then when you actually had them, I didn't like them so much.
You know what happened? They'd be on your cover for a while, and then they would start to peel, and then you start peeling the non-sticky part off, the puffy part off. Remember that?
Yeah, and there was like a thin layer of foam inside.
Yes. All right, that wraps it up for
Looks
Geeky.
Looks like Matt Inouye sent me that article about the Thieves Guild. I'll have to check that out. Thanks, my friend.
We're thieves, but we're not into that whole stealing stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just... all right, another week of Geeky Geezers. What do we have going on tonight? Special guests.
You stay right here on this channel, assuming that you're on my channel. You will be forwarded over to Deleted Scenes channel for, I'm sorry, what's it called again?
Reserved Seats.
Reserved Seats tonight with Deleted Scenes and Sin's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be talking about the Oscars, right? It's your part 2.
It's our part 2. Going to be talking about the Oscar nominations. We're going to have some thoughts on a couple of recent films, including Flight Risk and Presence, which we've both now seen. So, stay tuned. It's going to be a fun little 80 minutes or however long we're going to be on. So,
well, speaking of Deleted Scenes and Monday coming up, you have one on Monday, don't you?
Well, we have the movie night on Monday, and then we are going to do the review Tuesday night at 7.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Monday night, right here on my channel. If you're on my channel, you might be on Geeky Geezer or Geeky Geezer's channel. You might be on Agent Boomer's channel, but right here on my channel, Monday night, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. A very special presentation of a fan edit of Superman 3 and 4, combined in a way that is called Superman Redeemed. And I do think it is a superior editing of those two films. It takes the best parts of those two films and turns it into one much better film. So you will need to be with us live so that you can watch along with us, because you very likely will not have your own copy of this film. So
cool.
And then Tuesday, what are we doing Tuesday, Deleted Scenes?
Well, after my movie night podcast, we'll be live from Sparkwood 21, and that'll be at about 8:30-ish. And we are going to be delving deeper into the world of Twin Peaks.
Yep.
Cool.
Followed immediately thereafter by Last Call Presents Blake 7, episode 3 of season 2. The episode is called The Weapon. That'll be fun. Everybody who's been hanging out with us for those watch parties of Blake 7 really been enjoying it. So I think that's really good.
Cool.
Thursday, over on Netters Network.
Right now, it's just us, because I haven't heard back from the person who said they might be able to make it. So it's just us.
And you know how it goes over on Thursday things. You know, it's talk. So if we don't have a special guest, we have the chat to be our special guests.
Exactly.
So
You're all special guests.
It will still be fun. So 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network on Thursday. Followed by, let's see, Friday. I'm guessing there's a Big Al Presents Films with Friends. Am I correct?
Indeed. I'm going to be joining Al Friday night at 8 for 1954's classic giant ant film, Them.
Them ants. Them ants.
Them darn ants.
Yeah.
Yep.
That should be fun. Yeah, I think that'll be great. So that's
Disney's Those Darn Ants. Yes.
Right. I like that. That actually would have been a good film back in the day, back in the late 70s, early 80s, maybe. And then that'll be followed by Last Call with Troy Pacelli. And it's usually my designated driver who comes up with the ideas. So what were we talking about doing?
I don't know. Maybe we should talk about what it was like to be Gen X, maybe. I don't know.
Growing up Gen X. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is on brand for us, right? Kind of talking about the good old days.
We'll make it fun. We'll make it fun.
How we grew up and stuff. Yeah, it kind of makes some sense. And that brings us around to Saturday, which is Netters Network, Retro Cinema. I'm trying to remember what it was. What is it?
What I have to tell you? You don't remember?
No. Neither do you as you're looking it up.
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts and where to find those little buggers. Yeah, we'll be watching that on Netters Network.
And we don't get the cute little animal from Neverending Story.
No, we don't. But we get all different kinds of Fantastic Beasts on Saturday, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, over on Netters Network. And that sounds like a week of entertainment. You don't have to rely on modern Hollywood. You don't have to rely on network television. You don't need to rely on streaming channels. You got us.
Well, to be fair, you do have William Shatner's The Unexplained.
Well, there's that.
He's when William Shatner goes, that'll be me crying that day. I'll tell you that.
I know, right?
All right, y'all have a good week. It was great hanging out with you. And thank you again, Stephen, for showing up here. I think I will be joining you on your channel in 2 weeks' time as well. So
Indeed.
We'll hang out. All right. Catch y'all later.
Wait a minute. How do you end the scene?
I don't know how you end the scene. I think I have to end it. Can I end it? Can I just remove it?
I don't know. Give it a try.
Share scene, duplicate, transition. I think the chat loves these.
Yeah, a couple of boomers trying to figure out how does this thing work.
I don't know how layers. Go into layers. Go into layers.
I'm just a guest. I can't work the buttons.
Go into layers, and then I can remove the scene. Look at that.
That removed that. It didn't remove all of it. I don't.
Well, this is your problem.
Well, yeah, this is my problem. Let's just wait a minute. There is still something missing from the layers. Where is all the?
I don't know. I'm sure I messed this up for all time now.
No. I don't think it's like that. It's add a new layer maybe.
Oh, don't look at me because I can't see any of that stuff.
Anyway, why don't I just?
I don't know. I don't know where it is. It's
all right.
You got rid of Pee-wee Herman.
I know.
Now I see Geeky Geezers. Wait, am I in real time? Okay, I am in real time. Now you just got really loud.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Well, I could always end the stream and we can just fade out.
I don't even know how to get back to
what? And broadcast.
So that I can see so I can play the closing credits. I don't.
Oh, you want to do that? That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's gone. I don't know where it is.
Did I mess something up here?
I don't know.
Let me see. Share screen, layers. Replace slideshow, remove from scene. But if I do that, nothing happens, right?
Apparently so.